you should have looked.
I didn't get anything.
You should have looked.
I didn't get anything on the Robert.
You should have looked.
Hey, next time I'll go.
Aubrey, where'd you put your arm? Where did you just put your arm?
Back there.
What's on your jacket?
I don't know.
Ew.
And that?
Ew.
I think they're gar.
Tube snout. They look like baby alligator gar.
They look like saltwater alligator gar.
Travel to and from other galleries, as well as enjoying
Daddy, how come the tentacles don't sting?
here this morning.
How come the tentacles don't sting the other jellyfish? But they sting people.
They're immune.
Make sure everything is going
His leg is
according. Right here. Just like we planned it. That is a spiny dogfish shark right there. It's just a little shark. It's one of 14 different species of sharks that we can find locally. Yes. But when we think of sharks, we often think of a big, scary dorsal fin. Maybe the lead to Jaws comes to mind. Sharks often have a bad reputation, but today we are going to turn that scary dorsal fin around because we've created.
Daddy, there's a jumpers in there. Daddy, there's a jumpers. Look at him. There's a jumpers in there. See him, Daddy?
I know.
He's like a bigger version of jumpers.
Get in there, Peanut. Whoa!
My turn.
Ops. Really? It doesn't go that way.
There is, yeah.
I don't know where it went now. It was over there, but it's
More eel? Oh, look.
yeah, but I don't know where it went now.
More.
No. Okay, let's go.
Alright, we're gonna go over here, guys. And we're gonna look at some sharks.
Yes, I said no. Dad, I said no.
There are bats in here.
Oh, the bats.
How do you do it like that?
Let's walk through here. Let's get rid of these guys. Do you know what these are? These are piranha fish.
I wish I could reach out and touch them.
No. No touching. Well, you can. One way.
From Mango.
They're hiding at the top, so you gotta have a good eye to spot the spots. They're actually not flamingos. They come in that's right. They stand up.
What?
It did! Oh my goodness, maybe my head looks like a tree. There's lots of butterflies.
No touching.
Where is it? It's like a perfect.
You see the slop, Travis?
These are sea turtles, that's right. Like our green sea turtle.
Annie, he's perched on your pin.
Be still, Annalyn.
Butterfly.
Be still. Don't move. Don't move, Annalyn.
He's same color as your hat. There he goes.
Go away before I can. Thanks, Trev. Taking the picture
That's a poopy.
of me cleaning up bird poop on my sleeve.
It's probably the sea otters, because they're so cute. Everywhere. I like monkeys. Monkeys are my favorite animal in the whole world. But don't worry. Don't worry. What's your favorite animal? Are they real or are they pretend? They're real. But they look like they're pretend because they don't really move. And they blink sometimes.
Watch him push off the wall. Push off the wall.
He knows where the wall is.
Look at the honor.
How do they float like that? I don't know. Hey, Mommy, look, there's one right there. Annie, come here. Look, there's one on the little wall.
Just flip the frisbee over.
Annie, look, he's looking at that water.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the inspirational music has ended. That can only mean one thing. It is time for a beluga show. Is anyone excited? Woo! All right, by a show of hands, is this anyone's very first time even seeing a beluga whale? I'm glad you're excited then. That's good, because if you've just come from our dolphin show or helping to catch one of our dolphin shows later on today and you're thinking, these animals are even bigger than the dolphins. Chances are they can jump even higher. Probably not. However, they are a very fascinating animal, and one of the reasons why we do these programs is because, there's so many people that haven't seen them before, and they are Canada's most abundant whale, and that's something we'll go learn a little bit more as we go through the program. But joining us in the habitat, helping us out with our program today, and outside of the habitat as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the lovely ladies in the front. We've got Kristen in front, coming around the back in his rubber pants. He's prepared for any eventuality. We got Phil. And we got interns. Woo! Although you're probably not here to see any of us, and rightly so. You're probably here to see the whales. And we've got two of them we'll be working with today, and they are a mother-daughter pair. Their names are Aurora and Keela. And we know they're a mother and daughter pair because Keela was actually born right here at the Vancouver Aquarium about 18 years ago. But if you're wondering, well, how do you tell them apart, especially when they're switching them back and forth? Well, can be difficult because genetically they do look very similar. However, Keela has got a little bit more of that gray coloration left over because they are actually born gray, and then as they get older and older, they get whiter and whiter. So on the count of three, I want you to point to the beluga you think is the youngest. Is it with Kirsten on the far side, or is it over on the side with Phil? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. If you were pointing to Keela, she is the younger of the two. And if you look on her eyes and her blowhole, that's where you can see that leftover gray coloration. But it should give you some idea. All right, okay, sure, these animals are white. They get whiter and whiter as they get older and older. Where exactly do you find beluga whales? Because I mentioned that, they are Canada's most abundant whale, but where exactly are we hiding them all? Does anyone know which ocean do you find beluga whales in? Correct. In the Arctic is where you'd have to go if you wanted to say hello to a beluga. And it is somewhat surprising. Usually you think Arctic, you don't think animals. You think cold, you think ice, you think snow, you think that extreme environment. But yes, there are animals. Yes, there are whales. They live there, and they do quite well. Thank you very much. Belugas, in fact, are known to do so well that if you happen to be called a beluga, it's usually not a compliment. It has to deal with the fact these animals have got quite a bit of blubber on them. And if you stick out your thumb and your little finger, you get an idea of just how thick that mattress of blubber actually is. And how do they get enough food in the Arctic? It's not known for being a floating buffet of food everywhere. Well, they're very opportunistic. And in the corner, we have a brave volunteer who's offered to be food for a beluga. Or to demonstrate how they find food. They spit. Which, of course, how else are you going to find food? And normally they don't spit in the air because, of course, there's just... Oh, that's chilly waters. Very good. A round of applause for a brave volunteer. Couldn't have done the show without him. Nicely done. And they don't normally spit in the air because they're just going to... these animals don't eat people. They'll swim into shallow water and spit into the ground. They stir it up. They find things like snails, like marine worms, things you may not picture whales eating. But for these animals, generally speaking, if it's protein, they'll eat it, or at least try. And as I mentioned, no, they're not the only animals in the Arctic. There are quite a few. And the two-legged variety also lives in the Arctic and has done so for thousands of years. Inuits, by and large. And they've been able to survive in a part of Canada that most of us would get scurvy and or starve in no time. Because we would be looking for protein, we'd be looking for vitamins and nutrients, and we'd be lost. We wouldn't know what we're looking for. But if you look in our habitats, you may notice about 850 kilograms worth of protein, of vitamins, of nutrients. Because yes, there is still a small sustenance hunt for belugas in the north. In large part because that's a lot of protein and a lot of vitamins and nutrients. And it's known the blubber on these animals, on seals, on walruses, kind of colloquially known as muktuk, that yeah, it has some of the same vitamins that you get in fruits and vegetables even way down here. And it's a different way of looking at these animals, certainly. Here in Vancouver, obviously, we've got lots of abundant protein and vitamin nutrient sources. We don't need to be looking at these animals for this. But if you're going to live the 100-mile diet in a place where to ship an apple up means the end product, you got a $5 apple, well, yeah, it makes sense. Now, what does that have to do with us way down here? Well, it's a different way of looking at these animals, certainly. And if you joined us earlier for the jellyfish demonstration, people eat different things regardless of where you find them. And in a large part, well, the only connection that we really have is the fact that some of the things we're doing even way down here, it's affecting the food chain to the north of us. Because we know that energy consumption in larger communities down south, they directly link to climate change. And in the Arctic, this is affecting the ice. And do belugas care about how much ice there is? Well, yeah, kind of. Because algae, which grows here in our exhibits on the rocks, in the north, it actually grows on the ice itself. And these animals, no, they don't eat algae, but there's small things that eat the algae, small fish that eat those things. You get higher and higher, and you get big mammals, regardless of where we are. We're always big. And so, yeah, some of the decisions we're making even way down here, they are affecting animals and communities to the north of us. But it's impossible to talk about belugas and not just talk about the ones in the north. You have to also go to the east, because there's a small population of belugas in the St. Lawrence. And if we have anyone visiting from the Maritimes or Quebec, you may or may not know that, yeah, there's 800-900 beluga whales in the estuary, which drains the Great Lakes. And chances are people in that part of the world, no, they're not looking at these animals as a food source, but they are relied on somewhat economically by certain groups just for whale watching outfits. Because, yeah, people will go out in the water to try and find mystical glimpses of these magical white whales. But on a whale watching boat in the St. Lawrence, will you see belugas leaping out of the water? Well, no. No, you won't. Because these are not a terribly acrobatic species. They're usually described as shy and skittish. So no, you're probably not going to see the whales jumping out of the water. However, you may, if you're lucky, see what our animals are currently displaying. A little bit of beluga swimming. That's quite nice. And floating. This is pretty cool. No, it's not. Well, it can be. Certainly if you've never seen a whale before, then yeah, this is what you're looking for. And people come here to the aquarium to see whales. We understand that. And people, yes, will go out in the St. Lawrence to see belugas where they're found. However, if you're not looking for them, you may not see them until it's too late, because they don't even have that pronounced of a dorsal fin. And people come here to our part of the world to go out in the water to see killer whales. If you're just here last week, there was a group that came in underneath the Lion's Gate. It was very exciting. They can have dorsal fins up to 2 meters high. So yeah, they're pretty hard to miss. These animals, nah. And so there's still quite a few ship strikes, unfortunately, because people don't see them until it's too late. And also, growing up in the St. Lawrence, it does drain the Great Lakes, and some of the largest communities in North America are on the Great Lakes, so it's not the cleanest body of water. Lots of toxins, lots of pollutants in the water column. And why do these animals stay in this polluted body of water? Well, it's an estuary. It's a unique area geographically. It's where you usually have some shallow water areas. You get a lot of nutrients stirred up in the water column. And if you're an animal that needs somewhere to rub off that gray skin as you get older and older, these animals, yes, will use these shallow water areas. And they'll also have their young in these murky waters because they're born gray. And during these times, they don't rely on sight so much to actually find each other. They rely on sound. And if you listen closely, we may be able to get a small sampling. Very nice. A round of applause for the singing ladies. Very nice. Now, occasionally when we ask the animals to vocalize for us, we sometimes hear people trying to recreate that, and you're on to something. Because as far as we know, that's how these animals actually learn to create the sounds that they do. It's by copying the sounds that they hear as they get older and older, not unlike how we pick up how to vocalize. So every now and again, we like to open it up to everyone. There's no shame involved here. On the count of 3, I want you to pick the favorite noise that you just heard and give us your best beluga vocalization. We'll get a crowd of belugas going. It should be fairly awesome. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You see, it sounds ridiculous. But imagine that not only do you have belugas trying to vocalize around you, but you've also got ship horns and you can see how for an animal that learns to vocalize by copying and hearing things accurately, it may not be the best place to actually grow up. And it sounds like common sense, but that's actually one of the things that was discovered here at the aquarium. Because again, it's impossible to talk about belugas in Canada and not mention that we've had belugas here since the 60s. And it's only by developing a very strong bond of trust that we've been able to work with these animals and answer some of the common sense questions, as well as some of the more complicated ones about Canada's most abundant whale. But what is it like to work with a whale? Because that doesn't happen every day. Well, fortunately, we got a couple trainers in our habitat. One of them has a microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Kirsten.
Thanks, Alex. Hey, everyone, I'm over here giving you guys a wave so you can see where that voice is coming from. Working with marine mammals has always been something that I've wanted to do. Right now, I am working with the lovely Aurora, and I have been fortunate enough to build a strong relationship with her. But our number one priority whenever working with any of the animals is, of course, their health care. With our trusting relationships, we are able to better care for them using voluntary medical behaviors known as animal husbandry. And that can be something as simple as checking over our animals' bodies, checking inside their mouths, their teeth, their tongue, their gums, making sure there aren't any new nicks and scratches and that everything's looking healthy. But we can also go a step further, do what's called advanced husbandry, which is something that I'm asking Aurora for here. So I can actually ask her for a blowhole sample, believe it or not. There we go. And we can actually ask that with our veterinarian staff out here, take a culture of that sample, make sure we know she's just as healthy on the inside as she looks on the outside. Our relationships with the belugas is also what enables us to participate in those amazing research projects that better help protect these incredible animals. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Kristen. Did anyone think they were going to get to learn how to get a blowhole sample from a whale at the aquarium today? A little something different. And in truth, it's not only our ability to be able to work with these animals and do some of these remarkable research projects with these animals, but to introduce them to people that have never seen beluga whales before. And to point out that no, we don't see these animals daily, but there are probably some small changes we can make on a day-to-day basis to affect their lives. And usually there's always people, that are interested in reducing the amount of energy that they use, the amount of waste that they create, because it's just the right thing to do. And those are some small changes we can make. But what about a big change? What about even a beluga-sized change? And that can be hard to do, because, to push a little bit harder. Well, we've got some remarkable marine life here in Canada, and if we can reduce the amount of garbage that we're sending downstream and or the amount of energy that we use to help them out, it's just the right thing to do. And if you're wondering, exactly how chilly are the Arctic waters? Well, if you're in the splash zone area, seated willingly in that corner area, we're about to send a tail swipe of love your way. It is mostly love and a little bit of cold water. But on behalf of myself, the trainers, our intern Alex, and our remarkable beluga whales, thanks so much for joining us. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon here at the Vancouver Aquarium. The tail end of our show, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Alex. If you have any questions for myself or the trainers, just give them a moment.
Hey, Jan, you can just come back here, sweetie, or go where your mom is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And then the neighbor is coming.
They're so tiny. They're so tiny. I love them.
Come on, girls. Next.
Which one is that one? I think that's an Aurora. Aurora's a really smallest. No. Yeah. Aurora's a big. Aurora has the one. Oh yeah, Aurora has the big head. Let's see if I have the big head and small. And she doesn't have gray. Oh yeah, she does. That's the other one. No, because the other one had more gray. Yeah, so that's Aurora. That's Aurora. Oh, Annie, look, Kiara. The other one.
All right, did you get your picture? Or did you miss
so cute when he opens up his mouth. I can't get a picture.
All right, I'll remove your hand.
Got it.
Okay, I got it. Come on over here, Ob.
Annie.
Albert, come over here.
Annie,
I mean.
Annie.
Here, look out! Don't get in this guy's way.
Hey, back up.
Oh, sorry, Travis. I thought you were just.
I think it's one of him. Did he get it?
No, it's still there.
He's so cute when he opens his mouth.
Did your wife tell you what happened? Downstairs?
What? We saw a porpoise. Oh, you guys just picked it out. Little porpoises.
What?
Put my camera back in here?
Yes. Oh, I got the little one. Big old fat.
Wait, no. Great shot.
Yeah.
She's very impatient.
Meow meow?
What? It's right on the boundary of Vancouver and Burnaby.
Hold on to it.
So these are stopped for the totem poles. The totem poles are over to your left. All right, totem poles. We do have our sea bus. It's the white and blue boat is fairly low, right there. That is all part of our transit system. And so you can use the same. At the very top of it is home to our Simon Fraser University. And Simon Fraser was the fellow who discovered the mighty Fraser River, about 200. And they're also called the foothills of the mountains. Now the Lionsgate Bridge is a bridge over to your right, and the towers on the other side of the bridge is West Vancouver, another independent city. Now we are in Vancouver proper, and our population is about 650,000 people, with close to 100,000 people living downtown. Now if you bring in the 22 cities, municipalities, including West Van, North Van, Burnaby, that brings our population up to about 2.5 million. And the population of British Columbia is about 4.5 million. Now the largest city in Canada is the Metro Toronto, Ontario area, and they have about 4.5 million people. The livable space in British Columbia is only about 5%. Now, coming up on the right is our most famous marker in the park. She's called the lady in the wetsuit. She is a lady. She has 2 legs, 2 flippers, her wetsuit on, and a mask. At regular tide, now, I think it was last Saturday.
It was last week, and I'm very jealous.
Yes.
We just came to Vancouver 2 days before that.
Oh, did you? And there was a pod of killer whales that came up here. Oh my gosh, I missed it too. I wasn't working. Unbelievable. Big faces, 2 twin peaks called the lions. So we got another nursery tree here. It's a great picture off place to get a picture taken. And then if you quickly look to your left, another nursery tree.